syllabus in the days we are asked to use. When you cut a day out of the system, you have to come out and tell us the rationale behind the cutting of the day.
According to them, those students may have time to do other things. The policy will affect learning.
Normally they don't do anything, they don't do much productive things. Normally they just end up on social media, doing all those kind of things that may not even benefit them. So for reducing, for me, reducing the number of days, for students going to school in Kaduna State, I don't think if it is going to make any, appreciable, result. Because if not seeing the objective of the government, why is it that the government, if to say that's an objective the government wants to achieve, then we can now say, let us look at the objective.
Parent-teacher association, who are of course the number one stakeholders in education, who are the voice of the entire parent that have their children in our school, have not been informed, have not been invited. At least we deserve that right to be invited to discuss this issue, for us to know how could that be possible, how could we come in, how could we assist.
Professionals will have to come into this, and what I mean by professionals is that real professionals, not politicians, real professionals. Let them come and see to it and actually advise appropriately on this, because I don't know the policy, but actually it's not going to be very easy for us.
According to the national president of the Parent Teachers Association, Kaduna State government did consult them on the policy. He therefore advises the government to revisit the decision.
Staying with education, to find lasting solution to the problem of over 13 million out-of-school children in Nigeria, Rector, Gateway ICT Polytechnic, Sapade, Dr. Isaiah Oyeyinka, is calling for increase in admission capacity of schools. Dr. Oyeyinka said this while speaking to newsmen shortly after the 16th matriculation ceremony for the newly admitted students of the 2021-2022 academic session of the institution. The rector says the over 13 million out-of-school children pose a great danger to the security architecture of the country.
Aside from establishing more institutions, the carrying capacity of institutions should be improved upon, and the MBT has taken lead on that. They've actually increased the class size, which means that each institution will have better carrying capacity, and also we want access to be given to more of our teeming population. These are young people that have our hope, their future, their tomorrow. We want to gain more, the government to fund education more, and institutions will have bigger or higher carry capacity in order to absorb these teams from the streets.
On legal matters, a federal high court in Abuja will on the 9th of March this year begin hearing in a suit seeking for an order directing the federal government to release travel documents of a leader of Islamic movement in Nigeria, otherwise known as Shiites, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaky, and that of his wife Zinat. A Kaduna State High Court in July last year upheld a no-case submission by El-Zakzaky in culpable homicide and disturbance of public peace charges preferred against him by the state government. Again, Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports.
Recall the State High Court in Kaduna had on the 28th of July last year discharged and acquitted the Shiite leader Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaky and his wife Zinat after several months of litigation. However, their travel documents were withheld by the authorities, making it difficult for the duo to travel out of the country for medical examination.
On 28th July 2021, that is last year, the State High Court in Kaduna State discharged and acquitted the duo, the Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaky and his wife. So they have been ill since they were shot at 2015. Now that they are free citizens, they want to go for medical treatment abroad. But the authorities have withheld their international passports and prevented them from traveling. That is why we approached the court to have an order of the court for the parties we sued to release the passport of Sheikh El-Zakzaky and his wife for them to travel abroad. That is just the gist of this matter.
Counsels to the applicants have also joined the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami and Director General, Department for State Security, DSS.
We have filed the action against the Attorney General of the Federation and the Director General of the DSS. Now we have joined issues with them. They filed their response. So the judge has fixed 9th day of March 2022 for hearing of the application. So after hearing on that day, he would set date for judgment, and that will be end of the matter, God willing.
The trial judge, Justice Inyang Eko, adjourns the matter to the 9th of March 2022 for hearing. Shapir Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Trial of the leader of proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, continues at the Federal High Court, Abuja, with Kanu pleading not guilty to the 15 fresh count charges leveled against him by the federal government. Prosecution Counsel had the initial 7 counts against Kanu replaced with new ones. Kanu is standing trial over offences bordering on treasonable felony, terrorism, amongst others. Trust TV's Shafil Suleiman reports.
This is the road leading to the Federal High Court here in Abuja, where the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, is standing trial on 15-count amended charges, including treasonable felony. As at the resumed hearing yesterday, the trial judge, Justice Binta Inyako, had to adjourn sitting when the defense counsel complained that they are just having access to the amended count charges. As you can see, security personnel, including those from the State Department for State Security Service, have barricaded entrance and, of course, shut out journalists who are here to cover the proceedings. Counsels to the accused person Tuesday pleaded with the trial judge, Justice Binta Inyako, to allow them time to peruse the amended charges and advise their client appropriately. At the resumed hearing Wednesday, the accused person, Nnamdi Kanu, pleaded not guilty to the amended 15 count. His team of lawyers had earlier in a preliminary objection challenged the suit and the jurisdiction of the court to entertain the matter.
Prosecution amended the former 7-count charge to 15-count charge, and they were served at the close of work the day before yesterday. So when the matter came up yesterday, so we said that it cannot go on because Nnamdi Kanu needed to see the amended charge and advise, and we advised him on the plea to take. So the judge saw reason with us and adjourned the matter to today. Of course, we know that the matter has been adjourned acceleratedly. That is 18th, 19th, 20th. Outside the court premises, security agencies had to fire tear gas canisters to disperse some hoodlums who constitute a threat to journalists covering the case and other road users. On the sidelines of the court proceedings is a carnival-like procession in support of One Nigeria.
Meanwhile, the High Court in Abia State has ordered the federal government to pay the sum of 1 billion naira to the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, and issue a letter of apology to him. In a ruling on Wednesday, according to his lawyer, Aloy Ejimako, the court, presided over by Justice Benson Anya, stated that the federal government violated the IPOB leader's fundamental rights. The court also recommended political solutions to the agitation for the restoration of the defunct Biafra Republic championed by IPOB. Kanu had approached the court demanding 5 billion naira over the invasion of his father's house by the military on September 10, 2017. You're watching Trust News Update, coming up after the break. How transportation business employs thousands in Gombe. This and more coming shortly. Thanks for staying. You're watching Trust News Update. Let's have another look at the main stories again. The House of Assembly has removed the controversial Clause 84 providing for direct primaries in the Electoral Amendment Bill to allow for other modes of primaries. A federal high court in Abuja will on the 9th of March this year begin hearing in a suit seeking for an order directing the federal government to release travel documents of leader of Islamic movement in Nigeria, otherwise known as Shiite Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaky, and that of his wife Zinat. And in other news, women at the top echelon of governance underscore the need to leverage on their networks in transforming societies through participation in politics. They handed the demand at a two-day summit tagged One Voice, Women Uniting for Progress in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. Trust TV Shafiu Suleiman reports.
Delivering a keynote address at the conference, Liberia's Vice President Jewel Taylor says it is imperative for leaders in the country to leverage on women networks for rapid socio-economic development anchored on inclusive governance.
Permit me to bring to your consciousness the enormity of the political shift which is taking place today. The first issue is why a women's conference? Because the statistics prove that females make up 49.3% of the population. That means women make up about 125 million people across Nigeria. That indeed is a large number. If the APC has registered voters or registered party members of 41 million, then you have another 65 or 70 million who can become a part of this great political work.
Declaring the session open, wife of Nigeria's President Aisha Buhari says women must be integrated into mainstream politics and governance as critical stakeholders in nation building.
We need more women in decision-making bodies from local government, state up to federal level. And the governors are here, the ball is in their hands. I think if we did not get 35 affirmative action that we desire or that we are entitled to, we need to hold the governors responsible.
Chairman, Nigeria's Governors Forum, Governor Kade Fayemi, and his progressive governors counterpart, Governor Atiku Bagudu, underscored the roles being played by women across sectors and urged the forum to develop a demand charter for the realization of their aspirations.
I hope this conference will come up with a charter of demand that will come to that policy convention on issues that are germane to our women. I know that we have covered a lot of ground, but we still have a lot of grounds to cover.
As went to primary school or secondary school or universities with women who are much more brilliant and smarter than us. But somehow they end up not doing very well as men in maybe national life or in business life because they face barriers that ought to be appreciated and dealt with.
Despite constituting more than 50% of the nation's electoral database, women have been having running battle actualizing the much talked about 35% affirmative action to guarantee a fair representation of the feminine gender in decision making. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, in this next report, we take a look at how commercial transportation service is employing thousands of young Nigerians in Gombe State. Trust TV's Ibrahim Ismail meets taxi drivers, commercial tricycle riders, otherwise called Keke Napep riders, who strive to put food on the table.
Are you planning to visit Gombe anytime soon? Well, movement in Gombe State capital is made easier by commercial Keke Napep, Okada and taxi operators. Despite their large population, they said the business is booming.
Very good. Then we thank God our business because always or every day I can get about 10,000, 8,000 per day. Understand? So the work is very well, no problem.
I have been a keke rider for 5 years. We thank Allah. People complain about keke walk, but everyone is blessed with what he wants. The business is booming and there is progress in this work. We don't want a ban. In other Nigerian cities, only taxi and keke napep operate due to restriction imposed by local authorities. Some residents of Gombe said they enjoy the services of all the three transport systems: Okada, keke napep and the taxi.
So in my own opinion is that like the using of the three system is much better than using the 2 or 1 system of transportation, because if you can understand, like keke napep is more active in women while the Okada is more active in men, because it's not like it's not comfortable for women to use a keke an Okada instead of keke napep, while taxi also is very effective because it minimizes the cost of transportation.
This keke napep and taxi and Achaba, both of them, they were advantage for us, because like my area, me, I'm living at near GRA, 9 hour. We have no gather there. It's only machine that can enter there.
Like the napep, women, they can use it. They can use napep more than they can use Okada, because Okada is for men. It will be better for men.
Economic experts believe that commercial transportation system generate more revenue to the government and provide job opportunities to the youth. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail for Trust TV.
Nigeria's government is targeting $400 million revenue from the nation's television advertising that will be driven by an effective audience measurement system. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, said this while inaugurating a 15-member task force on audience measurement system in Abuja.
Nigeria is currently occupying 3rd place in television advertising revenue generation behind South Africa and Kenya. Absence of reliable and efficient audience measurement system is attributed to the underperformance of the country's television advertising potentials.
Nigeria's broadcast advertising market is punching far below its weight, especially when the country's population is taken into account. Despite having a population more than 3 times that of South Africa, Nigeria's television advertising market revenue in 2016 was just $309 million compared to that of South Africa, which was $1.3 billion.
Having identified this as the missing link in the entire broadcast ecosystem, as well as an impediment in achieving the ambitious digital switchover in the country, the Nigeria's government takes a bold step to address the gaps.
Today, the advertising community continues to rely on subjective factors when making decisions on the content they want, as opposed to how many viewers the content really attracts. Consequently, television platforms have resorted to renting out space on their channels to sustain their businesses, and content producers are at the mercy of sponsors, a development which unfortunately skews the authenticity of their creative output in favor of a few decision makers.
The 15-member task force has 3 terms of reference to deliver, such as growing the nation's current television advertisement market to triple its current standing, amongst others.
We will be asking and sort of requesting for the support of all within the ministry and those other agencies to make sure that we do not step on landmines or get caught up in booby traps that could derail us from the task at hand.
The task force comprises of professionals in the various sectors of the broadcast industry, expected to work in synergy with regulatory bodies and policy makers to achieve the objective. Shapir Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And on the foreign scene, at least 6 people have died and 17 others hospitalized after a fire broke out in a nursing home in eastern Spain. Firefighters said a total of 70 residents are evacuated from the nursing home in the municipality of Moncada, just north of the city of Valencia. And with that, we wrap up Trust News Update, but you can always catch up on our YouTube channel and also connect with us via our social media handles. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for watching.